you'll see a picture of it right there on the front page. You click on it, and you can order it. It's just that easy. And you can use any major credit card or bank card, but it'll keep the show going strong, and I appreciate that. It really is a beautiful coffee mug, and you'll really like it. It's first batch of cups that we have made. We used to have Chuck's Cup, and since I've taken over the show now almost 3 years, we decided we needed to have a coffee mug, and we'll have some apparel too. I know some people like shirts. Not everybody likes them, but we'll have stuff like that and some new products that we're going to be introducing. And also, we do have sponsorship opportunities that we've opened up. You may have heard that commercial for people that have small businesses or businesses that, can't normally afford the huge price tag to be able to advertise. They'll be able to do it here with For the People, and it's a donation to what we do here on the program. And details, you can contact us at forthepeopleshow.com. Let us know about what type of business you have, and we'll give you an idea of what donation it would be to be able to have a national audience, because we broadcast coast to coast. Some of you just listen to our podcast, which is terrific. You can listen to that anytime at forthepeopleshow.com, but we have AM and FM radio stations in many cities across the country, and we're growing. We're getting ready to go to a new station in Illinois, which we're looking forward to that. We'll be making that announcement soon. I actually have to cut some promos for a nice guy there who works in radio, and I think he was telling me he works in law enforcement as well. So this guy's just a busy kind of a guy. But we appreciate your support, folks. ForThePeopleShow.com. Take a look at the coffee mug, and you'll like it. It's really beautiful. Trump, our president, Donald Trump, called the gunman who killed 59 people, wounded hundreds of others at a music festival in Las Vegas, a very, very sick individual. I think that's kind of well said. I mean, what else can you say? Trump was in front of reporters this morning, getting ready to take his trip to Puerto Rico, where he called the gunman once again another name, demented, and said he was looking into him very seriously. But had plenty of praise to the Vegas police, saying that they had done an incredible job. And then, of course, a barrage of reporters asked him about gun laws. But I'm impressed. The president said we'll be talking about gun laws as time goes by. I commend the president for doing that, because he could have barked at the left about this, and I think people do have questions about how in the world does this guy have the ability or the capability of what he did. I mean, there's one thing about having handguns, rifles, but to have military-grade stuff? I mean, who was this guy? He was a multimillionaire. You don't even have to be a multimillionaire, though, to get that kind of stuff. For the right price, you can get it. This wasn't millions of dollars worth of guns. Well, it could have been everything he had, but just, they said 10 guns, and then it was a dozen guns. There's 25 guns. I mean, this guy was locked and loaded to the gill. I mean, unbelievable. Unity is one of the things, folks, we have to pull together. We have to unite. The Reverend Pat Robertson from the 7 to 100 Club, he weighed in on this, and I don't know what his deal is, but he always seems to put his foot in his mouth and says something rather interesting. And some of his stuff just kind of is thought-provoking, but trying to make some sense out of the savagery of what happened. And I was reading it, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. But he has a theory, and I'm searching for it because I was going to use this on the second hour, and I'll find it in just a second here. This guy, was Pat Robertson like in his 80s? Yeah, I mean, he's been hosting. He tried his son, Gordon Robertson, for a while, and it just, I don't know if they had a falling out or anything like that, but his son was not as, I don't know, can I use the charismatic as his dad? His dad has always kind of held things together pretty much for the 700 Club at CBN, the Christian Broadcasting Network. They do a lot of good, but lately, I don't know if it's just old age. He's losing his brain, and not all old people lose their brain, but he's very popular. If you haven't watched it, Pat Robertson, he's blaming the disrespect for the president or our veterans, for the national anthem, for the deadly mass shootings there that you saw play out on television, sadly. He thinks that this is attributed to what we saw play out, which is kind of interesting. He says, violence in the streets, ladies and gentlemen, why it is happening, Robertson asks rhetorically. What I'd like to give you is, he explained, the fact that we have disrespect for authority. There is profound disrespect for our president all across this nation. They say terrible things about him. It's in the news. It's in other places. There is disrespect now for our national anthem. He continued, disrespect for our veterans, disrespect for the institutions of our government, disrespect for the court system, all the way up and down the line, disrespect. Now, I agree that there's disrespect. But he goes on, he says, and when you lose that kind of respect, you lose authority, he added. But more than anything, until there is biblical authority, there has to be some controlling authority in our society, and there is none. And when there is no vision of God, the people say there is no vision of God. He concluded the people run amok. Now, interesting that he points this out. This guy was an atheist. And anybody that really, truly believed in a loving God, and, well, if you believe in God, they say you have to believe in the devil. How could you do something like that? A godless person. Or somebody that was possessed by a devil. Do I believe in that? There's too many things I've experienced in my life. Exorcisms and all that stuff's real. You can do a lot of research at the Catholic Church. They've been doing this stuff for thousands of years. Levitations and ghosts and paranormal, and there's an evil, folks. It's out there, and somehow evil took hold of Stephen Paddock. Somehow it happened. I know he was gambling. We don't know all the things that he was involved with, but he went down. Something happened to him, and we do know that his dad, they pointed out, was a bank robber and was on the FBI's most wanted list. So something was in the DNA. Something was passed down, and that's something that happens. You something in the blood. The dad may have been the same way. I said yesterday on the program, and by the way, if you miss an hour or two of this broadcast, you've missed a lot. Because I cover so many different things from so many different vantage points that if you have to catch up on something, go to forthepeopleshow.com or make sure you're on time for the radio show. You're on the station. I know. Anyways, back to Pat Robertson. I love the guy. I think he does a lot of good. You have to put the guy in perspective. That's why I say you have to listen to my whole show to get some, absolute clarity. Did the Las Vegas shooter have disrespect for Trump and the national anthem? Thus far, law enforcement officials have been unable to determine the motive for this horrible act. Pundits have noted that it appears the shooter, Stephen Paddock, had no political or religious affiliations, like we've talked about, according to his brother, and does not fit the profile of a mass shooter. And there are online rumors that he might have been affiliated with Antifa or attended an anti-Trump rally, but these are based on just anecdotal evidence, and so far, none of them have been confirmed. But you better believe the federal feds are very involved. Vegas police are involved. I mean, the best of minds are on this. we're learning so much. Every hour we're learning something different about this guy. And the arms that he had, the amount of training that he had, his dealings, his personality. I mean, they are getting into everything. And anybody that he's been in recent contact they will have people in rooms videotaping, interviewing. They will have a much better picture. And I think, and I'm praying, and I think we all should, to try to get to the God's honest truth here. The truth will set you free. I think it will help a lot of people. It will, I think, help our country to heal. But like I have said, there might possibly be no real good explanation. But it would be a lot easier to have one, I think, at this moment. But would it really bring these people back or fix these people's injuries? I don't think so. Maybe it'd make a few people feel better, but certainly the people that were injured wouldn't. And this guy cowardly took his own life, killed himself, so he couldn't be judged. Wouldn't have to look into the eyes of the families that lost loved ones. Oh, but he will be looking into the eyes, I believe, of the all-powerful, the almighty God, that I believe every one of us, and the Bible says every knee shall bow, every tongue should confess, and I know my Jewish brothers are going to be very upset about this, that Jesus is Lord, but I'm a Christian and I believe this. No disrespect. Hey, listen, we're so close, my Jewish brethren. We're so close. And listen, Jews and Christians, we rever the Holy Land, and we're so close. We love the Old Testament, too. We just believe in this one thing. If we get over this would be great. We would have you over for Christmas dinner and Easter. They just don't believe that Jesus is the Messiah. But we love all the custom, and I love going to a good Seder. I have a lot of great Christian and Jewish brothers and Muslim brothers and people from all different religions that listen to my radio show, and they like one thing from me, and they just tell me, at least you stand by what you believe, and you're not apologizing for it. I'm not here to hurt anybody. I'm not here to belittle anybody, downgrade anybody, but we're all on this planet together. We all have to live through the news cycles that we see every day and hear every day. And one thing that I try to bring to my broadcast is some clarity and some, if anything, I could bring some comfort to some of you that are struggling with some of these very tough issues. And we have many of them, and it's not the only story that's happening today. Mind you, Donald Trump is going into an area that has seen devastation and that's affected millions of people. And having to go through this is really hard because people have lost literally their property, have lost loved ones. Food is becoming more available. Water is becoming much more available. Donald Trump thinks that things are going much better on his way out today. Let's go ahead and listen to what he had to say before he actually got onto his plane before heading out to San Juan. Here's Donald Trump.
I think it's now acknowledged what a great job we've done, and people are looking at that. And in Texas and in Florida, we get an A+. And I'll tell you what, I think we've done just as good in Puerto Rico, and it's actually a much tougher situation.
All right, so that's Donald Trump confident that they can put politics aside because there's been words said, and you got a Democratic governor there that, she's going to have to be nasty, and she was, but hopefully they can both just bipartisan get the stuff done that needs to get done because the people need the help. It's a war zone. I was looking at pictures just yesterday that my wife was showing me of Aguadilla on television, on YouTube, looking at these pictures, and it just, because these areas, I've traveled through. She has family up in the mountains, Maya West, in that area, Aguadilla. We've flown in there. There's an airport there, which is western Puerto Rico, by the way. And it's a long drive from San Juan. It's a lot cheaper most times to fly into San Juan, rent a car, and then drive west, hours and hours long. But Aguadilla, they got the airports back open over there, and a lot of the Walmarts now are